Welcome to the show. I'm Jason Whitlock, and I'll tell you how the refs just handed New England another victory.
So sad. I'm Colin Cowherd, and I'll tell you why the Packers shouldn't even consider signing Tony Romo or Colin Kaepernick. Speak for yourself starts right now on a Monday.
We agree on that.
For different reasons.
For different reasons, but we agree on that. Stay the course. All right, hello and welcome. We're joined today by Fox NFL analyst Tony Gonzalez and Greg Jennings. Let's start with Greg's old team, the Green Bay Packers, whose season is in serious jeopardy after Aaron Rodgers suffered a broken collarbone in yesterday's loss to the Vikings and could be done for the season. Mike McCarthy said after the game the team will stick with the quarterbacks they have, but Sports Illustrated's Peter King told Cowherd this morning that he thinks they should consider signing a notable free agent.
If I'm Green Bay, I at least place a phone call to Colin Kaepernick. In my opinion, Colin Kaepernick would be an apt insurance policy. It could be that he'll come in and he won't be the kind of guy who the Packers want to have around. I don't know, but I certainly would look into it.
All right, some people have also thrown Tony Romo's name in the mix for the Green Bay. Cowherd, do you think they should bring in either one of these either one of these quarterbacks?
No, because Aaron Rodgers, to a fault, is the franchise. And Kaepernick, sorry if the media doesn't want to hear this, is going to be a distraction. And so is Tony Romo. They're stars. Listen, this team was built for Aaron Rodgers. And you can go that direction, but they're not talented enough to overcome a distraction. They are actually built now with Hundley, who's now been in the program for a couple of years. He knows the offense. They'll build it for him. They're not going to win a Super Bowl team, but in that division, they're probably good enough to kick the tires a little and stay close to playoff contention. They're not talented enough to have a distraction and do it.
If this was a 4 or 5 week injury, I would almost get it. Try to survive for 4 or 5 weeks, and Aaron Rodgers comes back. But this team has had so many injuries on the defensive and offensive side of the ball. This season is lost. When you look at that list, Tyrone Montgomery, David Bakhtiari, Brian Bulaga, Lane Taylor, Kevin King, it's the damn whole team has basically been hurt. You don't get a stopgap quarterback like a Tony Romo or a Colin Kaepernick. Kaepernick, you'd have to change the entire offense around. Neither one of these guys are options.
Look, there is no other option other than what is in-house in Green Bay. That is how the organizations run from top to bottom. When you look at the coaching changes that they make, they will rotate their coaches from an offensive coordinator, coming from a tight ends coach, moving to offensive coordinator, running back to receivers, all in-house. They don't go outside of that building and try to acquire guys. Same goes for player personnel. They don't do it. That's not how they run. That's not how Ted Thompson likes to do it. It is honestly not how Mike McCarthy likes to do it. They will stick with Brett Hundley and their guys in-house, as he alluded to in this post-press conference. If anything, I could see them going to get a Scott Tolzien to back up Brett Hundley because he understands the system, he's been in the culture, he knows what's going on in that environment, in that organization. But Colin Kaepernick, whether he brings things with him or not, has nothing to do with the Green Bay Packers not calling him and saying, hey, are you interested? They are not interested because that's not how they run things.
Well, you would know, yeah.
So you're saying from a philosophical standpoint,
that's just not what
Okay.
That's not what they do.
And I get it. And if it wasn't their philosophical standpoint, why? No way. Tony Romo, first of all, he's not coming back. He's in that booth, nice and comfy. You don't want to go back there. He's injury prone. We're talking about that.
And he knows it.
Why come out there and risk injury for a team that probably, even if you're playing at your best, might not go to the Super Bowl? You never know in the NFL. And then Colin Kaepernick, that's way too much of a headache. I think they stick with Hundley. Let's see what he can do. He looked okay at times when he stepped in there, and I thought he played pretty well. He's a guy. They got talented players on that roster. They could go out there and still make a run.
Let's be honest too, Jason. Generally in situations, like a lot of business, what's the upside, what's the downside? Listen, you remember that game. What's the upside of Cap? He comes in, first of all, he's going to be bailing water on learning the offense. He probably has to back up Hundley for a month. So at most, you get him for 5 or 6 games if he beat out Hundley, who knows the system. So the upside is, hey, you know, last 5 games, Cap started 1-2. Okay, the downside is you saw that crowd react. Remember the Aaron Rodgers?
Lock arms, yeah.
And you heard him yelling at Aaron Rodgers. The downside is you create a storm, which, to Greg's point, it's not how the organizations run.
Yeah, you annoy your customer base even more than you already have. Look, man, Case Keenum and the Vikings moved the ball on Green Bay. It's not just a quarterback problem.
Absolutely not.
Because, again, the quarterback, Aaron Rodgers, is so talented that you could survive with that horrible defense. There's no other quarterback in the league, not even Tom Brady, who can survive with that defense. That, again, going to the point you made first thing out of your mouth, that team is built for Aaron Rodgers and Aaron Rodgers only.
To a fault.
And
now he's not here.
Yeah.
Here's another thing. This is when, if this is New England Patriots and Bill Belichick and Tom Brady goes down, this is what makes us classify Bill Belichick as one of the greatest coaches ever, because he can take pieces, insert them, and they don't miss a beat. This is Mike McCarthy's chance, his opportunity. Aaron has gone down before, and the team went right down with him. This is his opportunity to show how great of a coach he really and truly is, with having one of his guys step up and still be able to manage this team. This is why you hire guys like Mike McCarthy. This is why you Joe Girardi, what he was able to do in their last series. Like, this is why you have these guys in place. Manage who we have and make it work.
By the way, winnable division. Bears have a rookie quarterback. Vikings have their third, and the Lions are the Lions.
Hey guys, it's Jason McIntyre, and before we move on to the next topic, I want to talk to you about ZipRecruiter. In need of great talent for your business but short on time? You don't have to get lost in a huge stack of resumes to find your perfect hire. You just need the right tools, smarter tools. With ZipRecruiter, you can post your job to over 100 of the web's leading job boards with just one click, so you can rest easy knowing your job is being seen by the right candidates. Then, ZipRecruiter puts its smart matching technology to work, actively notifying qualified candidates about your job within minutes of posting, so you receive the best possible matches. That's why ZipRecruiter is different. Unlike other hiring sites, ZipRecruiter doesn't depend on the right candidates finding you, it finds them. No wonder 80% of employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate through the site in just one day. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. Find out today why ZipRecruiter has been used by growing businesses of all sizes and industries to find the most qualified job candidates with immediate results. And right now, listeners can post jobs on ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free. Just go to ZipRecruiter.com/speak. That's ZipRecruiter.com/speak. One more time, to try it for free, go to ZipRecruiter.com/speak. Now, let's get back to the show.
To Denver, where the Odell Beckham-less Giants, got their first win of the year.
Who knew?
Beating the Broncos last night, convincing fashion. Up to now, New York been a dumpster fire, and with Odell going out for the year, nobody gave them much of a chance last night. I didn't. Whitlock, did the Giants prove maybe they should move on from Odell Beckham?
Listen, man, this is going to be very offensive to Greg Jennings, but wide receivers just don't matter. And
What?
they just
goodness.
Don't. Again, these
I didn't think you were gonna go that far.
diva wide receivers don't matter. Again, very good wide receivers that aren't a headache, that aren't a distraction for your team, aren't a distraction for your quarterback. I get it. But the last diva wide receiver, and I love this dude to death, to win a Super Bowl was Michael Irvin. I've thought it all the way through. Again, there have been very outstanding wide receivers that have helped teams win championships. But when you're the kind of headache that Odell is, they shouldn't give him the contract, and they should trade him and move on. This was a non-distracted football team that put on their best performance of the year. They should learn a lesson from that.
Well, I think wide receivers have value. J.J. Watt's got value. I'm not paying him quarterback money. Don't confuse popular, which wide receivers generally are, because they're often the best athletes. They make spectacular plays. They beat the corner down the side. They're the home run hitters. People love wide receivers.
Thank you.
But don't confuse popular with productive. Here's the Giants. This is very interesting. With or without Odell Beckham, nobody disputes his talent. It's mostly the same football team. Now,
you know what that screams? Doesn't matter. That's what that screams to me.
To me, it screams slightly better with him, not build my team around him. Come on, man, this is a salary cap league. Everybody's got a budget. I'll upgrade my kitchen. That's my quarterback. How much are bathrooms worth? It's not worth that much money.
To me, but I get your point.
Okay, what do you say? What say you?
Okay. Should they move on? Absolutely not. No. Is he worth every penny? I think so. Now, does he make them a better team? Simple question, does he make them a better team? Yes, he does.
In your opinion?
No, he makes them the statistics just showed us he makes them a better team.
Inches, not feet.
Nope, I didn't say how much of a better team. Does he make them a better team? Yes. With him on the field, it's not just about his personal production. It's what he provides to the defender, to a defensive coordinator in their preparation. With him not being out there, you saw a Giants team last night that, quite frankly, had nothing to lose. They went into Denver, they went into Mile High and just, you know what, guys? We're playing with house money.
What did they have to lose at 0-4?
We're playing with house money.
With Odell.
You know what they're playing with? No distractions.
Harmony.
Thank you. Yes, it was about the entire team, not one guy, and that's why they won.
And you know what we talked about this before. What would Belichick do? You talked about New England before. Okay, I don't think he would ever have that diva wide receiver because it is a distraction. It really is. I've played with guys that are become that distraction. They're enormous faces of our franchise. I'm not going to name names, but it becomes a distraction. When you're in the locker room and you're with that guy over there and he's going crazy because he's not getting enough catches, he's not getting enough carries or whatever
Larry
it is.
Johnson in Kansas City.
I wasn't going to say that, but it becomes something as a teammate that you're thinking about. As a quarterback, Eli Manning probably he was probably so cool and comfortable going into that game, and the offense just flowed. It just looked better. I think other players get an opportunity to step up because he's going to demand a $18 million, $20 million price tag. And if the stats show that it's not that big of an improvement when you're there and what you bring to the table, yes, you bring that amazing athleticism, but then you also bring, you're throwing your helmet, you're throwing the water ball, you're getting punched in the face by the net. You got to move on. I would say, if that was me, my organization, I'm moving on. I'd be like, okay, we'll trade you or something.
Go look at Super Bowl Giants teams. They all have something in common. They generally have a great coach, Parcells Coughlin, and they have a really good defensive front. They're built for cold weather. It's the hardest stadium in the league to throw the ball. It's windy, it's cold. The vertical passing game shrinks in this league in December and in January.
It's another good point.
I like you guys. I'm not saying you're not worth money. But a lot of you guys want...
The best case don't need icing. And, I'm starting to believe you. Wide receivers are icing.
Are you offended by that?
I'm not even offended by it. I'm appalled at the fact that
it goes deeper than
it does. Tony, are you kidding me? I'm throwing this. Are you kidding me right now?
With what?
With the fact when you have a guy that brings this much to the table, and when we talk about distractions, let's put this in perspective. All right. He is not a distraction when it comes to off-the-field issues that we see that are true distractions.
He's worse. He's a distraction on the field.
We're talking about a guy who's just passionate about playing the game, who wants the ball. Jerry Rice might have been the most dogmatic receiver in our history. Going up to Steve Young, we didn't have social media to talk about it, to blast it everywhere, and we didn't have the media wasn't blasting it everywhere.
Yeah, but now we do, so you have to account for it.
And I was the same way, though, Greg. I mean, if I wasn't getting the ball, I'm upset.
Exactly.
I'm real upset. Even if we won the game and I only had 2 catches, I'll be upset, but I just think the way he goes about and he carries himself, that becomes a distraction. You can't deny that.
And maybe this injury is what he needed.
No.
Sometimes when you're sidelined, it allows you to self-assess and self-reflect. Maybe this is maybe he comes back a different player.
Okay, so will he come back and say, I want $7 million,
not
28?
He'll be the type of wide receiver that'll be on TV in a double-breasted suit when everybody else is dressed appropriately.
Welcome back, Tony Gonzalez back. We're joined now by Fox NFL rules analyst Dean Blandino. Let's return to Aaron Rodgers, whose season might be over after breaking his collarbone on a hit by Minnesota's Anthony Barr yesterday. Now, Rodgers was furious with Barr after the play, even thought it was technically legal, though. Whitlock, do you think it was a cheap shot?
Without question, I think it's a cheap shot. It technically is not illegal, but it is a cheap shot. It's something the league needs to address. Again, inside or outside of the pocket, you got to remember who these quarterbacks are. They're the leading men on a big television show, and you can't have them knocked out of the game on a hit like that. What the NFL has to come to grips with, defensive players is the intimidation plays, the hits that you hope take a toll over the course of a game or course of the season. They need to remove that to keep these quarterbacks upright because, again, it's a television show, and Aaron Rodgers is the biggest star of that. The league needs to address this and remove this type of play from the game.
So you're saying it's legal,
but it's cheap. It's cheap. He knew the ball was out of his hands, and he piled on here on the most important player in the game. It's a joke.
Have you read the papers? His family's taken more cheap shots at him over the last year than that. I just don't see it. I mean, I think, now you can argue how about this? He's 6'2", 220. He's a little undersized anyway. Second broken collarbone. We're looking at Tony Romo 2.0. A really, really great player, Rodgers is clearly better, who's not a big athlete, and now upstairs, shoulders, collarbones, he's injury prone.
It's a cheap shot, though, Colin.
It doesn't feel cheap to me. Dean, is that cheap?
I think it's an interesting point Jason brings up about the intimidating and the punishing hits, because I think those are going away. I think the game has changed, the league has changed. But the bottom line is, when you leave the pocket as a passer, you lose protections. And we looked at that with the competition committee this past offseason, all of the quarterback injuries. And it's amazing the number of injuries that occur outside the pocket compared to inside the pocket. It's almost 2 to 1. So when you leave the pocket, you put yourself at risk. You get less protection. You take more hits. And I think the league is certainly going to look at it. I just don't know what the solution is, because how do you tackle a guy like Aaron Rodgers, who's so dynamic outside the pocket and can make plays? What is that defender supposed to do?
He didn't have the ball, so he wasn't tackling him.
Well, he had the ball a split second before.
Split second earlier.
I agree with you right there. I mean, you watched the tape from last week in that drive, the game-winning drive, when he went to the sideline. He puts a little stinky leg on you, a little juke move. This guy is known for this, making plays with his legs. Absolutely, I don't think it was a cheap shot. Of course, he picked him up as a football player and grinded him into the ground. That's what you do when you're learning how to tackle. But I think he did it legally. No way would I say that was cheap. But definitely, was he trying to send a message to Aaron Rodgers? I'm going to hit you, and I'm going to be in your face all day and grind you into the ground? Yes, absolutely.
That part of football, because of where we're at, the money invested in these quarterbacks, all the pressure on the league, that part of football is being eliminated and needs to be eliminated. Again, I'm an old school guy, and I get that hit and what it's about. But that part of football is dying and should be dead.
Okay, but if you're watch it again. So this now is illegal.
Yes.
That's less than a half second after the ball's released.
Why? You said you are not an old school guy then? Because you're not.
Yes,
no, you're
I
not.
am.
You got your suit and tie on.
It's new school thinking.
It's about where the league is at right now, and it's about these quarterbacks. They drive this entire league. That's the most important player in the league.
I agree.
That is the Michael Jordan of football.
Okay, but
he can't go. The ball's out of his hands. He can't go out. If the injuries are coming outside the pocket, they need to fix it and give defenders another way to defend.
By the way, Aaron Rodgers last week is running out of the pocket. Of course, defensive players, this is the Cam Newton story. Cam runs around, frustrates defenders. When they get the once-a-game shot at him, they take it. That doesn't look cheap to me at all.
Look, if they take this away, I mean,
you give them something back.
You
give them something back. They have to look. If you let the defenders put their hands on receivers and defend them the way they should be allowed to defend them, instead of all these Mickey Mouse pass interference calls, that's what you give the defense back. But those type of hits on the guys you're dependent on to draw ratings for you every week, and that's how everybody gets paid, you got to protect that guy.
Funny, Ray Lewis is your favorite player, so forget those defense.
I get it. In the pocket, you can do whatever you want to Aaron Rodgers and these guys when they have the football. When they let it go, That's what they make money with that guy. That's like Tiger Woods out there in golf.
They make
would
money
you
with
rather have Tiger Woods in golf, or would you rather have him?
I would rather have
injuries?
Tiger Woods, but not if it meant that nobody else could ever beat Tiger on an individual hole. It's part of losing. You lose a quarterback. Maybe have better backup players.
No.
You're getting soft.
He's
getting older.
Mike
he's losing.
McCarthy said it. I mean, Mike said this is part of football. Everybody has to deal with injuries. And
Aaron Rodgers agreed with me. That's why he was yelling at Anthony Ball. All right, to the Patriots, who moved to first place in the AFC East after escaping New York with a win, but not without some controversy. A would-be Jets touchdown was erased after a review showed tight end Austin Seferian-Jenkins losing control of the ball before he crossed the goal line and landed out of bounds, which somehow resulted in a touchback and change of possession. The call provoked a variety of reactions after the game.
I feel like I scored, but at the end of the day, you know, that's what the ref called. I'm going with what the ref said. They make the calls, and I've got to have better ball security, and I've got to review the tape and make sure I make the necessary corrections so that doesn't happen again. I don't think it does anything for me to come up here and blast the official, blast the rule, or anything like that. The rule is a rule, man. They called it. It is what it is.
I'm pretty sure everybody's going to look back and say that was a BS call. And at the end of the day, you just got to beat teams. You got to beat them outright, especially teams like the Patriots.
I think it's great that they review these things, and now they review the turnovers, they review the touchdowns, and those are all significant plays. So they're just trying to get them right.
All right, Cowherd, that was an insane call. Do the refs show the Patriots favoritism?
Yeah, because the refs don't want a New York team to win. No, they don't show them.
Yes, they do.
No. You know what happens? Well-run businesses always seem to get the breaks because they're ready to go. By the way, did you watch the New England Patriot players on this? They all spotted it immediately because they're alert and they're looking at stuff like that.
Because they're desperate.
No, because they know the rules.
It's because look, man, this is another. Why do the Patriots keep getting all the bogus calls? From the tuck rule to you touch Tom Brady in the pocket, now we change the rules there. And again, I'm in favor of those rules. But again, this is a superstar-driven league, and so now with Tom Brady.
So why would they root for New England?
Tom Brady. Tom Brady is the most protected athlete in the history of the NFL.
What about the Cowboys?
Tom Brady is the most protected. Look. Do basketball superstars get calls? Do Major League Baseball hitting stars or pitching stars get balls and strikes favored to them because it's in the ref's mind who they're out there refereeing? That's what goes on with the New England Patriots. Been going on for years.
You're basically saying they're colluding.
No.
Let's see what.
I spent a long time in the officiating department. I can tell you unequivocally, there's no bias, direct bias for a team against a team. We actually ran numbers. We had the whole deal with Cam, right? Cam was complaining he wasn't getting calls, and Colin mentioned he goes outside the pocket a lot. So we looked at all the roughing the passer calls from 2013 to 2016. Tom Brady wasn't even in the top 10. Okay, Tom Brady was in between 10 to 15 in terms of getting calls. So referees don't look at quarterbacks or players differently. They're just trying to get it right because they're being evaluated and their jobs are on the line.
Yeah, bonuses are tied to those calls.
Postseason assignments. So I know there's a perception, but again, you can make that argument. Look, the Cowboys are a big television draw. Why aren't the Cowboys getting all the calls?
They would.
Why am I still getting tweets about Des Bryant? You know that's.
No kidding. But did you ever feel when you were on the field? What was your feeling about officials?
Well, I definitely wanted the calls. But if you're talking about if there's a questionable call, which way is the ref going to lean? Usually, and I think it goes probably even subconscious, they're not even thinking about it, they're going to lean towards the star player.
Thank you.
I think that's a psychologically
And I would
speaking.
agree, subconsciously.
Subconsciously.
And we don't know, and I certainly can't sit here and say that, but I think there's something to that maybe there is. But there's also something to saying that if I'm on the Chiefs sideline and the call happens and they're all yelling in my ear, am I going to be impacted by that? So we study all those things.
I've been on both sides of the coin where we've gotten a call where I'm like, man, we got lucky there. That was a fumble, or that wasn't a catch, but they gave it to us. I've had a catch during a game. Just a little bit late. Obviously the camera and the angles now picks up everything, but earlier in my career, I've had catches where I know the ball I didn't catch that ball, but they counted it anyway. So you're going to win some, you're going to win some, you're going to lose some, you're going to be on the winning side, you're going to be on the losing side sometime. Obviously, it does look like New England, maybe because it's magnified, the tuck rule.
Yeah.
Specifically.
By the way,
because it's a playoff situation, so it's magnified.
Peyton Manning and Brett Favre, lost a lot of playoff games. Those were stars. They were bigger stars than Brady. Brett Favre was the most popular guy in the sport. Peyton Manning was. You know how many close playoff losses those guys had?
But I'm talking about the Patriots and Tom Brady. Did you see this call earlier? Do we have the call, the pass interference that handed the Patriots their first touchdown?
The Gronkowski?
Yeah. This is the thing that drives me crazy because there's a ref right there. Hold on. Show the other angle. You can see a ref that's in position to make the call.
That's interference.
That doesn't. No, it's not. That
Well, wait a
doesn't make
minute.
the call. That's not. If Gronkowski puts his hand in his face.
That looks like face
that's a
guarding
great,
to me.
Oh,
come
he's
on,
looking
that's
back for the
interference.
ball. They put it on the 1 yard. That's a bogus call.
I didn't like that call. I thought what in officiating terms we would consider a good no call. Both guys are playing the ball. Both guys hand fighting, and survival of the fittest.
The problem with it was there was a ref that was on the spot that made no call, and the guy from across the field made the call. That's what drives me crazy.
But real quick, and then you get to. But that's Gronkowski. This goes to my point from science. Science tells us this in psychology. I was a psych major at Berkeley. I didn't graduate though. But it tells you that subconsciously you're always going to give the call to the superstar. It's just how it goes.
Did you have, honest question, did you have any money on the game?
No, that game, no.
Okay, secondly, can we bring this out?
Yeah.
Your conspiracy theory.
Yeah.
Let's bring this out.
Yeah.
Your tinfoil hat.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that.
So you believe, tinfoil hat guy, that the league is out to help stars?
Tom Brady and stars, yeah, it happens in the NBA, happens in Major League
That's
Baseball.
the best fedora
Of
you've
course
ever
it happens in football.
Welcome back, Tony Gonzalez, Rob Ryan are back. Let's move to Kansas City. The Chiefs, undefeated until the Steelers took them down yesterday. KC had a chance to make it a one-possession game with a field goal, but instead went for it on 4th down. And even then, Andy Reid declined to challenge a questionable incomplete pass call in the end zone.
To the ground.
Here's Reid on going for it after the game.
I don't worry about the questions that I'm going to be asked afterwards. I do what my gut tells me to do. I thought that was the right thing to do. Again, we hadn't been down there. We weren't really moving the ball too well. So if nothing else, it backs them up and gives us an opportunity to come back and win the game, which we did. We had an opportunity there to win the game.
All right, Whitlock, you blaming Andy Reid for the loss?
Yeah, without question. And Andy, taking from another big guy, don't do what your gut tells you to do all the time. Sometimes your gut gives you real bad advice. And look, man, you have to kick the field goal in that situation. And then when you make the boneheaded decision not to kick the field goal, then you have to challenge the call of a no catch and a touchdown. He didn't do that. Look at this catch, if we could show it in some type of slow motion. There are 2 feet down, possession of the ball, 1 foot down, 2 feet down. That was a touchdown. You can see it better here on this angle. Catch, 1 down. Catch, 2 down. It's not till later that the guy strips it out. He should have challenged. They should have kicked the field goal. These are the type of mistakes Andy Reid makes that make people in Philadelphia, make some people in Kansas City scratch their head about his sideline decision-making.
So how many touchdown passes did Alex Smith throw?
1.
How many, third time this year, Alex Smith, with all those weapons,
How many
has thrown
interceptions has he thrown?
1. Oh, great. He never makes the big mistake. He never makes the big play. This is Alex Smith.
Never makes the big play. You've watched this entire season. No. It's been big play after big play.
Mr. October, we're starting to see 3 times this year, Alex Smith, with those weapons and that offensive ingenuity, 1 touchdown. Yes, Alex doesn't make mistakes. He never takes the top off.
Oh, my God, Colin, this whole season he's been taking the top off the defense. They got 12 touchdown passes in 5 or 6 games. He's got no interceptions.
Great weapons.
He does have great weapons.
He had chances yesterday to make a play. Not every play can be perfectly designed by a coach.
Andy Reid had a layup there, kicked the field goal.
That wasn't Andy's best moment, but it's like, at some point, players got to make plays. Aaron Rodgers makes plays. Tom Brady makes plays. Alex Smith, if it's not designed perfectly, you don't make.
I almost said BS, but I just.
Well, who's fault?
Here's the thing. Now, I would have had him for the MVP for the year so far. I mean, Alex Smith was just playing fantastic. I mean, and making big plays down the field, which everybody was like, "Wow, what's he doing?" It's new for him. But remember, the running game failed him. after a week when Jacksonville ran up and down the field against Pittsburgh, they stuffed that running game, and that hurts, especially when you're off, plays off of play action, off the great running game from the great back. I mean, it was a tough game on everybody, including Andy Reid, who is a smart coach. I mean, he's one of the best there is. I mean, shoot, one of the dumbest things I ever did was turn him down as defensive coordinator when he offered me the job.
He should have kicked the field goal.
Well, I mean, look at sure.
Well, if you got the MVP at quarterback, why would you kick a field goal? Got the MVP.
I said he was playing like the MVP, no question. At the halfway point, or the 4-5 game thing, I would have taken.
I agree. Woulda, coulda, shoulda.
Right.
I mean,
bad game.
Would I have kicked the field goal? At the time, I was watching the game, and I said, I don't know why he's not. I would kick the field goal. Kick the field goal. But is that why they lost the game? I don't think so. I think it never really comes down to one specific play. There was plays to be had there.
Yeah.
Pittsburgh came out and they had to play this way. They played outstanding, especially on the defensive side of the ball. 6 yards of total offense in the first half for those Chiefs. And then they got after. I'm sure Coach Tomlin told them before the game, you play on the line today and then sometimes go over the line. And there was a couple questionable plays in there where they were out physically and making some cheap shots, a real big cheap shot. I think we're probably going to talk about it in a little bit. And that got Alex Smith out of his game. And he wasn't playing well. This was not the Alex Smith that we've seen up to this point. He was missing some
couple big hits, and Alex is out of his game.
Listen, you make a good point, honestly, because they put James Harrison on the active list because they wanted to play a tough physical game.
And intimidate Alex.
And then at the end, not to intimidate Eric Fisher. At the end of the game, James Harrison took Eric Fisher to school, who had been playing tremendous all season. He gave him a little fake move inside, went outside, got the sack, ended the game. This is on Andy Reid for not kicking a field goal, though.